Hello. Welcome to this live English lesson here on the Speak English with Vanessa YouTube channel. I'm so glad that you're here to join me live or to watch the replay. If you'd like to join me live, there are these live lessons every Tuesday at 9 a.m. EST. This is the New York time, so I hope that you can join me live. And today we've got an awesome topic about an idiom that I used a couple times last week, and I thought that it would be useful to share it with you because it is a commonly used idiom. So before we get started today, please introduce yourself. If you're here live, I'd love to say hi to you. And today I'm going to be reading some of the live comments to give you feedback, because it's great to listen to me, it's great to watch the lesson, but it's excellent to get feedback. And that is one of the benefits of joining me live. You can get immediate feedback if I read your sentence and share something with the rest of the people who are live. If you enjoy this lesson, feel free to continue learning English with me. The best way to continue to learn English with me is to read my free ebook, 5 Steps to Becoming a Confident English Speaker. This is the next step for you to help you know, where should I go when I want to improve my English? What should I do? A lot of English learners have already downloaded this book and enjoyed it and learned a lot. So it's your turn now. You can download it in the comments in the description below this video, and I would love to share it with you. Let's get started with talking about today's idiom and greeting the people who are here live. Hitomi, welcome. Welcome from Japan. Martin from Brazil. Edgar from Mexico. Wonderful. Huda from Algeria. We've got all parts of the world already. Enlik from Kazakhstan. Betty from Taiwan. The North Pole, incredible. Something tells me maybe you're not Santa Claus. Maybe you are. Maybe Santa watches my channel and learns English with me. Amazing. So I have a quick question for you. When did you start to study English seriously? Maybe you learned when you were in elementary school or in high school, but when did you maybe restart to learn English seriously? Because we're going to use that with our idiom today. When did you start to study English seriously? Maybe for you, you started 2 years ago when you went to New York City. When you went to New York, you wanted to communicate with people, but it was too difficult. So when you came home to your home country, you decided, I'm going to start to study English. When did you start to study English seriously? And then we'll combine this with our idiom. The idiom today is, the rest is history. The rest is history. I'm going to use my trusty clipboard here and write a sentence for you so that we can use this together. I'm going to combine one of these sentences with the rest is history so that we can use this naturally. And then you can try to make your own sentences with it as well. Let's see, how about, a bunch of people said a couple months ago. A couple years ago. Great, great. So some of you have started studying English recently. Okay, so Dora says, I started to learn English seriously when I was in my secondary year. So maybe high school? Was that high school for you? So let's write Dora's sentence and then let's add an idiom, because maybe that wasn't yesterday. I'm sure that a lot has happened from the time you started until now. So we need an idiom to help us. Let me write this. I started to study English seriously, let's say a couple years ago, and now is our chance. Now is our chance to use today's idiom. Let me use a different color so we can see it clearly. How about orange? And the rest is history. This is our idiom for today. The rest is history. What do you think this might mean? Why did I choose to add this to this sentence? Why did I choose to add this to the end of the sentence? What's your guess? What do you think? Because maybe I could have said, I started to study English seriously a couple years ago and finished there. But instead, I decided to add today's idiom, and the rest is history. So, what is the purpose for adding this? And this will help us to understand when to use this. Navjot has a great answer. He says, it means everyone knows what happened next. Paula says, the rest you just know. Sean says, it means needless to say. Yes, these are great summaries of this idiom. I'll write the definition here. It means you can guess the rest of the story. It means you probably know what happened next. You probably know. So when I say I started to study English seriously a couple years ago, and the rest is history, it means I continued because I'm speaking English now, so I didn't just start and then stop. I continued. So the rest is history is making a long story much shorter. So let me give you another example. You can think about making your own sentence with this. Try to combine your English history with this idiom. And I'm going to give you another example. We often use this for jobs or for relationships. So if you're married, we know that your relationship is successful. You're together. You didn't break up. You are married right now. So we might say, I met my husband 10 years ago, and we saw each other and started talking, and the rest is history. It means you can guess the rest of the story. You can guess that we continued talking and we had a good relationship and it went well and we got married. You can guess the rest of the story, and it's a long story. I don't need to tell you everything about it. So I'm combining this and adding the rest is history. Yes, this is a great idea. Tawfiq says, like in a nutshell. In a nutshell. Yes. In a nutshell, that is another way we can use some kind of shortened expression. Let me add that here. Another option is, oh, we've got 2 idioms today. Very cool. In a nutshell, I started studying last year. ... So we could give some more details, but instead you just said in a nutshell, something clear and short and simple. But today, let's focus on in a nutshell. Oh, Julian has a great sentence here. I cleaned up my room and washed the dishes and wiped the floor, and the rest is history. So for you, it was a big deal because we're using the word history. Usually it's a big task, like studying English, starting a new relationship, starting a new job. So maybe in your sentence, it seems like almost it's kind of a joke, which is interesting because cleaning the house is maybe a daily process or a weekly process. So if we use it for simple tasks like cleaning the house, it could be a joke because maybe for you, you feel like, oh, it's such a big deal. Oh, it takes so long. The rest is history. So you could use that like a joke. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yemen says, I've been studying English for 2 years seriously, and the rest is history. Beautiful. Yes, this shows that for you, you've studied for 2 years. There are a lot of details. Maybe you went to a class. Maybe you listened to podcasts. Maybe you started studying online. There's so many details, but you've decided not to tell us the details. You just added, the rest is history. Excellent. Because usually in conversation, we don't want to give a lot of details so that the other person isn't bored. So exactly like Cardo said, you're making a story shorter. And usually this is a long, important story, something that takes a lot of time. So let's use this. We can use this for English. We can use this for your career. Maybe someone might ask you, how did you get interested in electrical engineering? Maybe you have a job in electrical engineering. How did you get interested in electrical engineering? You could say, well, my uncle is an electrical engineer, and one day I visited him at his job, and the rest is history. It's the beginning of the story, how you became interested or how you started, and then you can use this idiom, and the rest is history. You don't need to give us all the details, just the rest is history. Wilson says, I started to play soccer since I was born. Wow, incredible. And the rest is history. For you, you have been playing soccer for a long time. Maybe it's an important part of your life. That's a great way to use this idiom. If someone asks you, wow, Wilson, you're great at soccer. How did you learn how to play soccer so well? You might say, well, I've been playing soccer since I was born, and the rest is history. It means this big task, learning to play soccer, has been going on for a long time. So the rest is history. Oh, Marcia, Macario, I hope I said that correctly, Masario maybe, used an interesting political daily life kind of topic. He says, Great Britain is out of the EU and the rest is history. Sure, so we don't need to talk about each of those processes. How did it happen? The details. The rest is history. Britain is out of the EU and the rest is history. Oh, Louise, too nice. Louise says, Vanessa is the best English teacher out there and the rest is history. So if someone asked you, how do you study English? You might say, well, I went online and I found Vanessa's YouTube channel and the rest is history. This means that when you found this channel, I hope it's useful to you, you continued to learn and this inspired you. So the rest is history. You are advancing and improving. Before we continue, I'm going to take a drink of water. All right. Navja says, I started watching Vanessa's English lessons and my speaking skills went into orbit. Wow. And the rest is history. For you, that was the starting place for improving your English. I'm so glad. Keep it up. Julian says, when I saw a music concert, maybe we could say when I saw a piano music concert, I started to be interested in it. And the rest is history. Beautiful. So you're talking about your passion, music. How did it start? I went to a music concert. I became interested in it, and the rest is history. I couldn't look back because my life had been changed forever. The rest is history. For me, when I was in high school and throughout a lot of my childhood, I loved watching musicals. Musicals are movies where songs are included, and I loved singing those songs. And for me, I had never seen a show like this live, only on a video. But when I was in high school, one of my friends invited me to see a huge performance in my city live. So for me, I could say when I saw that live performance, I couldn't stop watching. It was amazing. The rest is history because I continued my passion. My passion grew and I started to love this musical and all other kinds of musical theater. This type of music was one of my favorites. So for me, it started that passion. Wilson asks, does it also mean that the rest of the story doesn't matter? Oh, so does it mean that the details are not important? Well, kind of. It doesn't mean that it's so unimportant that it really doesn't matter, but in this conversation, they don't matter. Because maybe you're just having a quick conversation with a friend and they ask you, "Oh, I didn't know you speak English. How did you start to speak English?" You could use that short sentence. Well, I started studying English a couple years ago and the rest is history. They don't really want to know maybe the rest of the details at that moment. So it's possible that the details are important. If someone wanted to ask you, "Oh, I want to be able to speak English like you, how can I do it?" You can give them more details. Those details are important to that person. So it really depends on the conversation. But I found when I use this idiom, it's in a conversation with a couple people, and you don't want to talk so much that everyone has to listen to you for minutes and minutes on end. You want to be able to say what you want to say and then finish. So this idiom will help you to be concise and help you to have those kind of conversations. Esther says, I met a young man who's handsome and intelligent, and the rest is history. So this means that you stayed together. He's your husband or he's your boyfriend. The rest is history. I met this man who is smart, intelligent, and funny, and handsome, and the rest is history. Patricia says, I used to go to English classes, but then I found your YouTube channel, and the rest is history. Beautiful sentence. It means that you used to study one way, and then you found another method, and you realized, this is a good fit for me. I want to keep going in this way. Excellent, excellent. Betty says, 5 years ago, after I went to a music festival, I started learning guitar, and the rest is history. I love it. Beautiful sentence. Beautiful idea. Because over 5 years, there's probably a lot of details. But you're just writing one sentence in a conversation. You're just going to share one sentence or two sentences. So this is a good way to make it short and use a beautiful idiom that we definitely use a lot in daily conversations. Eliana says, I've been interested in English since I was 9 years old. I looked up words in the dictionary, watched videos in English, and the rest is history. Thank you. What a beautiful sentence. Yes, you're talking about your journey learning English since you were 9 years old. Keep up the good work. So I want to let you know, before we go today, let's practice pronunciation and speaking out loud. I want to help you use this idiom. We talked about it in a lot of different contexts, a lot of different sentences, but it's time to speak. It's important to speak. I recommend watching this lesson again, writing down some of the sentences that I say, and also trying to imitate my voice, speak out loud. But we're going to say one sentence together so that you can use those speaking muscles and you can practice speaking out loud. Let's use a sentence with English and with this idiom. How about, let's make a sentence similar to this sentence. But I'm going to say I started to study English recently, and the rest is history. I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. So let's say it together. I'm going to say it slowly because I want you to imitate my mouth, have good pronunciation, and repetition. Repetition is important. Let's say I started to study recently, and the rest is history. Let's add English here. I started to study English recently, and the rest is history. I started to study English recently, and the rest is history. I started, this is great American pronunciation with a D here, started. I started to study English recently, and the rest is history. I'm sure there's a lot of details. I'm sure you've done a lot of different things to study English, but we're just giving a concise, clear answer with this idiom. So I hope for you, you can repeat this out loud together. I started studying English recently, and the rest is history. Thank you, Navjot, for repeating after me. You've got it. Yes, I started studying English recently, and the rest is history. Great. Thank you for saying this out loud with me. I hope that your pronunciation muscles are working, and I hope that you had the chance, even if it's just one sentence, to speak out loud today. It's great to hear me say it, but it's most important if you can hear your own voice using this expression. I started studying English recently, and the rest is history. The rest is history. There's a lot of details, but we can cut them out. So I hope for you that this idiom will be useful for your English conversations, for your use of English when you watch TV shows. I'm sure you'll hear this when you read a book or even read newspaper articles. I'm sure that you'll see this idiom. It is everywhere in English. The rest is history. Please continue to study English. Continue your hard work. And if you are thinking, no, Vanessa, I don't want this lesson to finish. Why is it finishing? Well, I'm going to go eat some breakfast, so it needs to finish. But the good news is, while I'm eating some breakfast, you can continue to learn English with me. You can join future live lessons. If you are subscribed to this YouTube channel, you will receive a notification when there's a live lesson. And also, you can read my free ebook right now. You can download it and read it on your phone, read it on the computer. You can print it out and put it on your wall, put it under your pillow, put it in the refrigerator so you can read it every time you're gonna eat something. You can surround yourself with English. So if you would like to download my free ebook and put it under your pillow to sleep or anywhere, you can click on the link in the description below this video or here on the screen at the end of the lesson. It's speakenglishwithvanessa.com/free ebook. my gift to you to help you continue to learn English. So thank you so much for joining me live. I hope to see you again next week on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Have a beautiful week. Continue learning English, and the rest is history. See you later, everyone. Bye.